I want to talk a little bit about just the term mental health and people's perceptions of what mental health is. And I suppose I find in society and specifically in the media, there's a predisposition to focus on the negative aspects of mental health. So the different conditions that people are suffering with, anxiety, depression, grief, bereavement, loss, and all the real struggles that people face. But there are also positive aspects of mental health which I don't think get enough time and enough mention. And these are the aspects of mental health which I focus on personally all the time. For me, when I think mental health, I think of education. And I think we're in an age now where people are really interested in learning about themselves and how their body functions, how their brain is functioning. And I hear the term chemical imbalance just kind of used casually now in society, and in the past this maybe wouldn't have been a common term and people wouldn't have understood what brain chemistry was. The term serotonin is on people, the mainstream word now. People understand what serotonin is, they talk about it. When I think of mental health, I think of growth. And people don't realise they're growing, especially if you're stuck and you're maybe struggling with something, maybe it's anxiety or depression. I find these people are just inhaling information, they're just absorbing everything, and they're learning so much about themselves, and they're actually growing. They just don't realise they're growing. And part of our job is to make them realise that they are moving forward. They just don't feel like they are because they're struggling with the condition. But if they just keep moving forward, they will work past what they're dealing with. And they do change, and they change in really very, very deep ways and very profound ways, and they learn so much about themselves. And what I also find about mental health is that it's actually about communication and forming connections. And I think anyone who has suffered a mental health issue, we're in an age now where people are coming out and they're talking about it, and as a result it's bringing new people into their life, people who've also have shared similar stories, and all of a sudden they're forming friendships and connections which they never had before, and they never would have had if they hadn't suffered in the first place. I think when I think of mental health, I think of resilience. And we have to go really deep inside ourselves to find our strength and find ways of moving past difficulties, which a lot of people don't experience. And, we have to go through mental health problems to really find who we are and develop these strengths inside ourselves, which we never even knew that we had. When I think of mental health, I also think of purpose, and I think when people are in a particularly dark place, they lose sense of who they are and why they're going through this. They don't understand why it's happening to them and nobody else. And a big part of it is finding purpose to their pain. And I think once they move past it, and they start to, again, they've learned so much about themselves and they've formed all these connections, they do have a new sense of purpose, and they start to use that, what is perceived as a weakness, into a huge strength. And some people change their careers, some people just change the course that their life is on, haven't come through what they've been through. But if they haven't struggled with their mental health, they would have never gotten to this place in the first place. When I think of mental health, I think of creativity, and we're all so unique. Genetically, no two people are the same. So to find a solution and a cure to your issues involves a huge amount of creativity, both on my side and with each individual that I work with. And we have to find what is unique to you and play with it and try different approaches, different techniques, and different visualization exercises, and different creative ways of finding that person, the right approach for that person to express themselves and to process their own issues, whether it is depression, anxiety, or finding creative ways out of relationship. And I think the last thing for me, when I think of mental health, I think of independence and freedom. And people do find a new independence because they start to become aware of all their emotional triggers and all the different cords that bind them to other relationships and maybe their unhealthy relationships. And by going deep inside, they find a new freedom which they never had before. They start to address all their fears, all their anxieties, all their worries, and all the different things that have held them back up to this point in their life. And once they really start to shine a light on these and address them, these start to slip away, and people find a new sense of freedom. And again, it goes right back to a new sense of purpose as well. But I think, and the last thing I want to talk about is that for me personally, I find that having gone through my own mental health problems and come through it on top, it does change your perspective of life, and it puts a lot of things into context. And for me personally, things that I would have perceived as being big are much smaller. And I think now I tend to not take myself too serious. I don't take life too serious, and that's because of everything that I've been through. And this is, and anyone can go through this, and anyone can put themselves through this process, and it's not a negative. And there shouldn't be, the word stigma and mental health are kind of pierced together. They should be separate. There shouldn't be anything negative around mental health. It's a process. It is a condition. A lot of people are struggling. I totally acknowledge that, and my heart goes out to anyone who struggles. But if they can move past it, it can be something powerful and empowering and deeply positive, and can have a profound effect in their life. But it's all about changing perspective, and it has to start across the board in society and media. We have to stop making negative associations all the time with mental health. There has to be positive connections as well. So that's it, guys. I'm heading off. Have a great weekend. I'll talk to you soon. Bye bye.